For a higher intelligence, the powerful Commodore 128 with number keypad and more. Also speedy 1571 disk drive. Computing costs less at Toys R Us.
It's the world's biggest Toys R Us. Go!
I'm excited to share this one with you today. I have what I believe to be a essentially forgotten Commodore 128 dual screen game. So I can't find a record of this in any of the forums I go to, any of the lists of 128 software that I see. I don't see it in the TOSEC archives. I don't see it doing a direct Google search. So what is this game? This is War at Sea. It is a game that was published by a UK magazine, Commodore Disk User, back in 1990. So it's period correct. And written by Paul Traynor. They unfortunately misspelled his name in the article, Paul Travner. So sorry, Paul. But yeah, this is described as a game that's loosely based on the old favorite Battleships, and there's nothing loose about it. This is Battleship.
Sinks his brother's destroyer. This glorious moment is remembered as the last time Robbie was allowed in Michael's room. August 19th, 1987. Playing electronic Battleship, Admiral Harold Burns Jr. programs a devastating attack. Dad says...
You sank my battleship!
And history is made.
So it's going to have that same 10x10 grid you're used to. You lay out 5 different ships, and your opponent tries to guess where they are and make hits and sink them. The big difference, I would say, is in the ships themselves. There are slightly different widths. So in the original Battleship, you'll have a carrier, which is 5 spaces, and then it goes down to a 4-space battleship, and then you got destroyers, submarines, patrol boats. Here in War at Sea, you have 5 ships, but it'll be a 4-space aircraft carrier. It goes down to destroyer and submarine, and then you have like a 1-space frigate. That gets tough. So I did have a chance to play this, brought a friend over, recommends you can turn the screens apart, which sounds fun, but we did a more traditional method of using a cardboard divider between the 2 monitors, which worked great. So it was just like Battleship. It was very amusing. We played it a few times. The one thing is those 1-space frigates are really tough to narrow down towards the end of the game sometimes. So we had gotten most of our ships destroyed of each other's. Around 50-ish turns, and you can think of this as a percentage, 10x10, 100 spaces, 100 chances. So about 50% of the board was taken up at that point. We had to get into like 90-something% before we found that last 1-space frigate.
Oh, it's a tricky corner.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Whew. All right, well, do you want to see this time?
I want to see where yours was, yeah.
Ta-da.
Uh-huh.
So, you were all the way around it. So,
Yep.
At one point, like, these 3 were clear, and then you went with that one. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. So close. Whew, okay, by the skin of my teeth, then, in other words.
Yes.
So that's a little tough. On the other hand, it was a little exciting because when you're down to like 10 more squares, it's a landmine, and you don't know who's going to hit it and when. So kind of a little exciting, but yeah, it also took forever. So that might be one of my little criticisms of it. But otherwise, it's Battleship. And yeah, we had a really good time with it. So a pretty good rendition as far as I'm concerned. I'll mention, too, I was able to cruise Commodore Disk User to see if there were any other games. And I think this is an interesting point because there was one other game, Solitaire. It's Peg Solitaire, where you hop over the pegs, try to have one remaining. And it is fine, I guess. Nothing wrong with it. But you look at this game and you really do think, why on God's earth could this not be a Commodore 64 game? And I think that really encapsulates a lot of the attitude around the 128 at the time. A lot of the stuff that was coming out for it, certainly in magazines like this, you're asking yourself, why isn't this on the 64? This looks like a 64 game. What are we doing here with the 128? Why are we bothering? So anyway, I don't want to knock it too much. It's also by Paul, so solid game. It's just I don't think it makes the 128 shine. I think what does make the 128 shine is the 80 column screen just in itself. That makes you feel like you're dealing with a whole other computer. Really makes you feel like you're dealing with a kind of a next level machine, an 8-bit machine certainly. But also that dual screen, the dual screen feature of the 128 is its finest characteristic in my opinion, which is definitely opinion. But that dual screen feature, I'll mention a story. The 8-bit guy had petscii robots demonstrated. I can't remember where, but evidently a lot of people were asking him how he modded the machine. people had a tough time believing it came like that.
I recently took a C128 with me to the DFW Retro Computer Meetup, and lots of people came by to see and play Petscii Robots, including these two kids that played it literally for hours. I think a lot of people were shocked about the dual monitor setup. Many people asked me what sort of modification I did to the 128 to allow this to work, and they were quite surprised when I explained that it was a stock system with no modifications.
And it's very understandable. What affordable home computer machine in 1985 was producing stuff like this? Not a lot that I know of, if any, but it's just an amazing feature that kind of makes it all the more impressive that this game has flown under the radar this long. So I'm glad I get a chance to share it with you. I wonder what someone might be able to do messing around with this thing. It doesn't take up a lot of disk space. I think it's like, I don't know, under 90 kilobytes or something. And I'm curious what might be done to add a little color to the text. Maybe you could add ship options. You could add a different kind of ship, choose how many and which kinds you play in each game. Maybe even play with the configuration of the board or something. So, I don't know, maybe that's going too far, but I would love to put this out there. If you are able to share this on any boards, please do. I'm not great at that. And I would like to also real quick thank Andrew Fisher. He's the guy that mentioned this to me. I was asking around for dual screen games, and he happened to remember this. So thanks to the community for chatting, pitching in, and talking about this stuff. You would think this would all be documented. It is not. So please share this game. I'll link it in the comments, or the description, I should say. But yeah, thank you for checking this out. For the love of God, if you know of any more dual screen games, let me know in the comments, and let's do more of these, please.
Good game.
Okay, GG.